This page is the cover of the official Nintendo magazine. Looks like issue 6 by the barcode. Right in your face is Banjo-Kazooie, front and center, grinning like a Cheshire cat. It's plugging a massive first play, and 500 free games to give away. Must have been a big deal at the time, and rightly so. Banjo was a cracking game, rare at their best. GoldenEye 007 is there too, with Bond looking suave, mentioning Win Deathmatch. Everyone was obsessed with GoldenEye multiplayer back then. Simpler times. There's a bit about World Cup 98. We won, so will you bit optimistic? England weren't exactly world beaters in 98, were they? Down below are smaller panels for Body Harvest, new level shots, Mortal Kombat first ever picks, and Mystical Ninja Game Guide. All decent games, but Banjo and GoldenEye were the headliners for sure. Typical N64 mag cover really. Games, 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 and of course Mario's mug is slapped on there somewhere. It also mentions tips for loads of N64 games, listing NBA Pro Duke Nukem, Fighters Destiny, Diddy Kong Racing, Bomberman 64 and Yoshi's Story. A right mixed bag of games there, some classics, some not so much. Price is £2.95. Seems about right. This page is an advert for Yoshi's Story. Following on from the cover mentioning tips for the game, this is a full-page spread selling the game itself. It's got that classic Nintendo 64 logo up top, followed by a few little teasers, eat fruit, lay eggs, save the world, all pretty standard Yoshi stuff really. Then there's a big picture of Yoshi himself, looking a bit goofy, if you ask me, and the Yoshi Story logo. They're really laying it on thick with the description. A psychedelic surrealistic rumble pack jiggering crazy patchwork quilt of an adventure. Bit much, isn't it? But hey, it's advertising. Hatching this Easter it says, so clearly pushing it for that spring release. And of course they've got to remind you that the N64 is the fastest, most powerful games console on Earth. Well, at the time it probably was, wasn't it? Still, Yoshi's Story, a decent enough platformer, though maybe a little bit too easy for some. Remember those rumble packs? Always rattling away. This magazine boasts its dominance as the top Nintendo publication, emphasizing its high sales figures. Each issue delivers 6 promises to readers: early news, exclusive screenshots, clear writing, essential tips and cheats, reliable content, and value for money. It also features a star photo and contact information for reader interaction. The magazine highlights Banjo-Kazooie with a massive first play feature, plus GoldenEye content. A giveaway of 500 games and 500 copies of Banjo-Kazooie is also being advertised. Standard Nintendo, 64, and Game Boy logos reinforce the magazine's focus, inviting readers to explore further content within. This page is screaming about Banjo-Kazooie, right in your face. Seems like they're really pushing this one as the next big thing. With a massive first look and over 100 screenshots, blimey, that's a lot for back then. They're promising to tell you everything you need to know. How the game plays, what it's actually like, what you gotta do, all the characters, worlds, and even special moves. All the usual preview stuff really. Then there's a game news section shouting about all the new games coming. Looks like they've got Body Harvest, Rampage, the new Zelda game which everyone was obviously gagging for, Crazy Cross, Silicon Valley, Buck Bumble, Mission Impossible, Glover, Vrally, Space Circus, and even Mortal Kombat 4. Bit of a mixed bag if you ask me. Some decent stuff in there and some that probably weren't up to much. Rampage, they're still banging on about giving away 500 copies of Banjo-Kazooie, which they mentioned last page too. And there's a Club Mario section for reader letters and art and all that. And of course you've got Banjo grinning at you like a loon in a moody looking screenshot from GoldenEye down at the bottom, keeping that Bond hype train rolling. Standard Nintendo mag fare really. This magazine promises freebies, including a Weetrix rental deal and a game competition. Game guides cover GoldenEye Deathmatch, Bomberman, Weetrix, and Mystical Ninja. Reviews include Forsaken, a futuristic shocker, Robotron, surprisingly engaging, and World Cup 98, praised as the best football game. Dual Heroes is criticized, and Wario Land 2, World Cup, and V-Rally are reviewed for Game Boy. The magazine also features a total test section, with game scores and accessory reviews, plus a preview of GT64. Sidebars advertise a free Quake game guide and a Blagfest contest. Finally, there's an advert showcasing the limited edition Nintendo 64 Gold controller. This page is all about Banjo-Kazooie. Looks like a proper big deal feature. Right at the top it's screaming big game, and first look bit obvious really, but in those days, this kind of game was exciting. They're boasting about having 100 real game shots, and saying, we've played it first, which is magazine speak for, you're reading it here first folks. The main image is of Banjo and Kazooie themselves. in what looks like a jungle setting, with mountains in the background. Typical Rareware lushness, eh? Big red B takes up a chunk of the page, which is probably for Banjo, no mysteries there. It's clearly an advertorial or preview for the N64 game, pushing it as the next must-have title. No. Given what else was in this magazine, like all the fuss about GoldenEye and World Cup '98, Banjo-Kazooie was aiming to be another feather in the N64's cap, and fair play, it was a pretty good game at the time, even if it was a bit of a collectathon, weren't they all back then? Still, looked pretty amazing for the time, and was something different compared to all the shooters and sports games they were banging on about. This page carries on with the Banjo-Kazooie hype train then. Right at the top again, it's banging on about big game, and it's got a little game info box telling you it's by Nintendo, a 3D platformer, and due out in July. Bold claim right under the title, put Super Mario 64 back in its box. This could be the best platform game ever. Bit cheeky, but that's magazines for you, always trying to stir things up. The What It's All About section goes on about how Banjo-Kazooie is supposedly going to be the best on the N64. They reckon you'll be traveling through 8 completely different worlds, from dark swamps to ice mountains, and even haunted graveyards. Sounds like the usual platforming fare, but they're promising brain-taxing puzzles and loads of new enemies to deal out a butt-kicking. Pretty standard stuff really, but they're selling it as the platform adventure of a lifetime. There's a couple of screenshots dotted around too, showing Banjo and Kazooie in what looks like a jungle level, and then another with some other characters, maybe the baddies they mentioned. Under one of the pictures, it mentions the game's cool intro, and how Banjo and the gang get their instruments out for the opening sequence. Sounds like they're really trying to push the boat out with this one. This page keeps the focus firmly on Banjo-Kazooie, diving into the plot a bit more. They're calling it a bit like Disney's Snow White, with Gruntilda the witch nicking Banjo's sister, Tooty, to her secret lair because she wants her beauty. Banjo's the only one who can save her apparently. There are 6 little picture boxes showing the story unfolding, from Gruntilda at her cauldron to Banjo waking up and finding Tooty gone. Standard stuff for a platformer, but it sets the scene. Then there's a section called The Gang, which says there are at least 60 characters in the game over 8 worlds. Sounds like they're packing it full. Below that, Rare Heroes highlights a few key characters. First up is Donkey Kong, reminding everyone about his SNES classic Donkey Kong Country, because Rare did that one too, of course. Then there's Banjo himself, described as a honey bear who loves sleeping and dancing, whose life changed when he teamed up with Kazooie. Kazooie, the red-crested Breegull, argues a lot but is a good mate, and helps Banjo out, apparently with her enormous beak. Lastly, Tuweti is Banjo's cute little sister, who wanders off a lot, which is handy for Banjo because he loves a rip-roaring adventure. So we get to meet the main players then. Looks like a typical hero's quest, with a colourful cast. This guide provides a quick overview of Banjo-Kazooie's introductory elements. Players begin by learning moves from Bottles, the Mole, and collecting honeycomb pieces to increase health. The guide then details the N64 controls, covering movement, camera adjustment, and action buttons. It introduces the Witch's Lair, the game's hub world, where players use jigsaw pieces to unlock levels. Finally, it introduces key characters, Bottles, Tooty, the villainous Gruntilda, her helpful sister Brentilda, and the masked Mumbo Jumbo. Essentially, it lays out the basic mechanics, setting, and characters needed to begin the adventure. This guide explores the collectibles and features of Banjo-Kazooie. Players must find Jiggies to unlock worlds, collect musical notes to open doors, and rescue Jinjos for extra Jiggies. Eggs, red feathers for short flights, gold feathers for temporary invincibility, Mumbo tokens for transformations, and honeycomb pieces to increase health are other essential items. The guide then previews Treasure Trove Cove, a beach level filled with dangerous characters, highlighting the pier as a safe zone. A sneak peek at Conker 64, originally titled 12 Tales, Conker 64, is included as a Rare developed hero. Finally, it details basic moves like climbing, and the feathery flap jump extension. This section of the Banjo-Kazooie guide covers Treasure Trove Cove, beginning with a mini-boss battle against Nipper the Crab. Defeating Nipper yields rewards, typical of the platformer genre. Next, it highlights character transformation with Mumbo Jumbo. Using Mumbo tokens, Banjo transforms into various creatures, such as a spider, to access new areas. The guide also warns players of shark attacks by Snapper, requiring players to use crates for protection. Finally, it introduces several moves: Rat-a-tat-rap, Roll Attack, Talon Trot, and Beak Barge. These abilities add to the gameplay variety. Overall, this section previews the challenges and abilities found in Treasure Trove Cove. This page delves into Mumbo's Mountain from Banjo-Kazooie, right in the thick of it. It's described as Mumbo Jumbo's home turf, and apparently the only world you can jump into from the start. They say Mumbo's been trying to protect the mountain from Gruntilda's magic for ages, which is nice of him. The text advises to watch out for weird creatures but assures you they mostly leave you alone unless you get too close, which is a classic bit of game design, isn't it? They also mention Conga the gorilla blocking progress, so you have to solve his puzzle to get past. Standard stuff for a platformer, really. Okay. There are a couple of screenshots showcasing the level. One shows Banjo and Kazooie navigating the level with some blue blob enemies and a bridge. The other shows Conga blocking the path with a "Don't touch Conga's block" sign. Can't miss that one. Classic N64 visuals here. Bright colors and blocky textures. Brings back memories. The text mentions finding Conga the gorilla and the towering termite mound, so those are clearly key landmarks in the level. Overall, it's a preview of Mumbo's Mountain setting the scene, and giving a heads up on some of the challenges and characters you'll encounter there. Pretty standard level introduction for a game like Banjo-Kazooie, get you prepped for what to expect. This page is still bang in the middle of Banjo-Kazooie, looks like they are really pushing it. Big image of Mumbo Jumbo takes up most of the space, you know, the witch doctor fella. It's headlined, Banjo-Kazooie big game, bit dramatic isn't it for a platformer, but they were excited back then. You can see he's in Mumbo's Mountain, same place they were talking about on the last page, with all the jungle and spooky vibes. He's got that weird magical lightning bolt thing going on around him, looking a bit menacing, though he's a friendly chap really. Mumbo, Nintendo 64 logo and all that jazz at the top, standard magazine fare from the time. Page 13 it says at the bottom, so we are getting deep into this Banjo-Kazooie feature. It's all very colourful, and N64-ish, bright and a bit blocky, takes you right back. They were really going for it with the graphics, weren't they? Still, it's Banjo, a classic, can't argue with that. This segment of the Banjo-Kazooie deep dive focuses on Clanker's Cavern, describing it as a mechanical trash compactor with polluted water that drains health. The guide details how to raise Clanker by finding a way to bring the giant metal shark to the surface. It emphasizes the importance of the oxygen meter and navigating underwater. The guide then discusses shooting eggs at Clanker's tooth to reveal a secret tunnel. Blades of Death warns of the rotating blades inside Clanker, and advises using gold feathers for temporary invincibility to grab a jigsaw piece. Finally, the text touches upon returning to Gruntilda's lair after completing the first 3 worlds. It highlights the potential for getting lost while navigating the lair to find the next level and stresses the importance of collecting musical notes. A side note mentions Diddy Kong's appearances in Mario Kart 64 and Diddy Kong Racing. This magazine page explores different levels in Banjo-Kazooie, starting with Bubble Gloop Swamp, a swamp filled with hazards like piranhas, and the crocodile Mr. Vile. The tip here is to find wading boots for safe traversal. .AC. Next is Freezy Peak, lauded as a visually impressive level with a focus on exploration. Challenges include helping the sick polar bear, Boggy, and completing a Christmas tree lighting puzzle to collect a jigsaw piece. The page then delves into a sled race against Boggy, another opportunity to earn a jigsaw piece. The overall focus is on collecting jigsaw pieces through a mix of platforming, puzzle solving, and racing, which the article identifies as core to the gameplay loop. Banjo-Kazooie, a massive 128 MB N64 game, is hyped for its stunning graphics and challenging puzzles. Slated for release on July 17th at £49.99, the game is expected to be a quality title from Rare. Previewed levels include Gobi Valley, featuring pyramid puzzles and target practice. A later, more challenging maze section introduces a 60-second time limit. The article also teases potential Rare connections, highlighting Timber the Tiger and Whizpig from Diddy Kong Racing. Ayoshi says, box notes Banjo-Kazooie's larger cartridge size compared to Super Mario 64. This page delves deeper into Banjo-Kazooie, specifically the Mad Monster Mansion level. It paints a picture of a proper spooky level, set at night in a graveyard with rumors of the dead walking around. Classic Rare humor there, aren't they always trying to freak us out a bit? We get a peek inside the haunted mansion itself, where apparently the level starts with jigsaw pieces coming together, a nice touch. They're also highlighting some tricky bits like, watch the walls, which are those creepy paintings that come alive. Bloody typical, those paintings always were a bit dodgy looking. It warns you to be careful when collecting eggs, which must be jiggies or notes I reckon, as you're close to triggering these picture enemies. Then there's a section on level warp, introducing colored cauldrons. So even early on in the game, they're chucking in level warps. Clever idea for backtracking to earlier levels to mop up any missed musical notes or mumbo tokens, for the completionists among us, or anyone who can't find all the blooming things first time around. Apparently, these cauldron fellas are friendly enough to help you get around. Good of them. So Mad Monster Mansion is shaping up to be a proper spooky and puzzle-filled level in Banjo-Kazooie. Looks like Rare are pulling out all the stops for this one. This preview highlights several new levels in Banjo-Kazooie. Rusty Bucket Bay is an industrial dockyard with Gruntilda's ship, featuring crane puzzles. Ship Ahoy involves exploring a ship with a hull, promising jigsaw pieces and hidden rewards. The most innovative level is Click Clock Wood, a location that changes drastically with the seasons. Spring, summer, autumn, winter, impacting gameplay. The preview also mentions a We Think section, predicting the game will be impressive, filled with puzzles and mini-bosses, and boasting improved visuals. They describe the main characters as lovable. The article concludes with a mention of a giveaway of 500 copies of the game. This page is an advert for Halifax Express Cash, which is a bit of a blast from the past, isn't it? They are trying to be down with the kids by using a Game Boy Pocket in their advert. Remember those? The clear plastic one. Very trendy at the time. The ad is pushing you to open a bank account, and if you do before the end of June, they'll chuck in a free transparent Game Boy Pocket and Tetris game. It's all about taking control of your money, linking it to the idea of the Game Boy being a cool, personal gadget. They're banging on about how easy it is to get cash out from over 17,000 cash machines, and check your balance. You had to fill in a coupon, or phone them up to get an application form. Good old days, eh? Seems a bit archaic now compared to banking apps on your phone, but back then this was cutting edge stuff. It was probably quite a good deal at the time if you were after a Game Boy anyway, and needed a bank account. £14.99 for the Tetris game, plus the console and a bank account, not bad. It's aimed at banking level 1 types, suggesting young people getting their first bank account, trying to look cool by associating banking with Nintendo. Classic 90s marketing, really. This game review page features critiques of Nintendo 64 and Game Boy titles. The page uses a scoring system, ranging from real rubbish to amazing. Games scoring above 90% receive an awesome award. N64 reviews include Dual Heroes, Cyberstyle Slugout, Forsaken, GT64, Robotron, and World Cup 98. Game Boy reviews cover Wario Land 2, World Cup, and V-Rally. The page also mentions a preview of Banjo-Kazooie and a quick flick, total test section. Overall, it's a standard review page offering opinions on new releases, with no particularly unique features. GT64 Championship Racing for the N64 receives a review. The game, priced at £49.99 and released on June 26, is highlighted for its multiplayer and Rumble Pack compatibility. The reviewer anticipates a top-tier racing experience, yearning for a great N64 racer. The review claims it's a realistic simulation, featuring real cars, teams, and courses from Japanese touring car racing, with 14 cars and 3 tracks, plus customization options. The reviewer hopes it will storm into pole position, but acknowledges flat spots, suggesting a mixed reception. Screenshots showcase racing scenes and car models, described with typical N64 graphics. Despite the initial excitement, the review suggests GT64 might not fully meet the high expectations set. GT64 Championship Racing allows quick entry with car customization options. Players choose a team and can select from 14 cars. A highlighted tip advises slowing for corners and embracing sliding for better handling, as AI opponents are not very bright. The game features a standard racing start. Qualifying position is less important than mastering handling. There are 3 primary courses, each with short and long layouts, plus a hidden track unlocked by winning the championship. The Euro course offers tricky bends, while the Japan course features tunnels and varying turnstiles. The tracks are typical of the racing game genre from that era. GT64 Championship Racing is reviewed, providing gameplay tips and track insights. The game simplifies corner types into color-coded categories, offering a user-friendly experience. Sound design gets a nod, acknowledging the engine audio while noting the crashes could be improved. The review then tackles the classic Gears versus automatic debate, with automatic being easier, and Gears offering a speed advantage for skilled players. Visually, the game is deemed clear, especially in favorable weather conditions. Finally, the review focuses on the USA course, offering track-specific advice for the short and long layouts, highlighting key turns, and the overall difficulty. GT64 Championship Racing receives an 85% rating, praised as a decent racer despite lacking single-player variety. Multiplayer, dubbed Speed Freaks, offers head-to-head and time attack modes. Car setup customization is in-depth. Compared to other racing titles, F1 pole position 74-75% is for diehards with poor graphics. San Francisco Rush 74% has bad handling but decent scenery. Multi-Racing Championship 83% offers good gameplay but is short. Cruisin' USA 59% is unrealistic. Lamborghini 76% boasts realistic cars but short tracks. Top Gear Rally 89% is excellent, with fast tracks. The review concludes GT64 is excellent, despite handling criticisms. The next page is a rather bizarre advert for Twix chocolate bars. It features a chap who looks a bit like a geography teacher on a dodgy school trip, wrapped head to toe in Twix wrappers, sat in a deck chair. Above him, in big yellow letters it says, "I only said don't blame me if you catch colds," and pondered Norm. Below, there's a small picture in a pink frame of a young couple having a whale of a time on the beach, soaking up the sun, and looking very normal indeed. At the bottom it says, "Twix a break from the norm." Bit of a strange one really, not sure what colds or being wrapped in chocolate wrappers has to do with a Twix, but there you go, it's advertising, in it. This page is a review for Robotron 64, remember Robotron? Classic arcade game, mental stuff. Well, this is the N64 version. They're saying it's one of the most playable arcade games ever, now on the N64. Sounds good, but they also reckon it's lost a bit of challenge, which is a bit of a worry, innit? Warrant. The game info box says it was £54.99 back in June 1998. Crikey, games were pricey back then. It's multiplayer and uses a memory pack, but apparently, no Rumble Pack support, which seems a bit odd, doesn't it? The story is your typical sci-fi guff. Year 2084, humans create robots called Robotrons, and surprise, surprise, they turn evil. Humanity is doomed unless you step in. You're the world's only hope, apparently. Standard stuff. They've got a section on how to play Robotron style. Pretty basic, really. Destroy all the robots on each level to get out. Move around with the 3D stick, and blast away. They mention going for the 3-way power-up and rescuing people too, to make it harder. The reviewer's looks verdict is pretty blunt. Basic, but you can still see what's going on. Not exactly glowing praise, is it? They say you need to use 2 camera angles, otherwise you'll be clueless. Sounds a bit ropey visually, but hey, gameplay is king, right? Let's hope it plays better than it looks. The Robotron 64 review highlights the game's intense, survival-focused gameplay, where players face waves of indestructible mechanical enemies across 200 levels. Power-ups include shields and various weapon upgrades like a flamethrower. The review also mentions the cancellation of N64 versions of Centipede and Joust, while Paperboy and Gauntlet are still in development. The game features pumping techno music and supports 2-player high scores. Ultimately, the reviewer gives Robotron 64 an 80%, citing its lack of multiplayer and simple graphics. They recommend it as a rental after completing the single-player campaign, suggesting it's a fun arcade experience, but not a must-buy. This review of World Cup 98 for the N64 is overwhelmingly positive, calling it the world's best. The reviewer praises gameplay improvements, new moves, and tactical options. Despite dropping the FIFA branding, the game still rocks and features modes like Friendly, World Cup, Training, and Cup Classic, the latter allowing players to replay classic finals. The review highlights improved graphics compared to FIFA games, especially up close, and a professional setup. It boasts accurate game stats, kickoff times, and team selection mirroring the real World Cup. The game offers the ability to customize formations and lineups. The reviewer concludes by strongly recommending the game, despite the high price of £59.99. This page continues the review of World Cup 98, still banging on about how amazing it is, calling it the world's best even. They've got a massive action shot of a player doing some fancy footwork with the ball, which looks pretty decent for the N64 to be fair, especially when you remember what footy games looked like before this generation. Down at the bottom there are a couple of little screenshots. Screenshot number 2 shows the teams lined up before a game, and the caption is having a laugh, asking if anyone knows the Brazilian national anthem and then joking about the Scottish one. Probably because it's not exactly a winner on the world stage, is it? Screenshot 3 is some gameplay action with Scotland playing, and they are giving some expert advice to lob the keeper to score. Cheeky, standard magazine banter back then, wasn't it? So yeah. Still pushing this World Cup 98 game hard. Seems they really rated it. Can't blame them, it was pretty good at the time. This review of World Cup 98 highlights its key features. The sound is praised, particularly John Motson's commentary and realistic crowd noise. A gameplay tip advises subtlety with the B button for scoring. A significant portion focuses on new moves, emphasizing improvements over previous FIFA games. Players can utilize Z or R buttons for tricks, including dives, stepovers, spins, flicks, and rainbow kicks, each illustrated with screenshots. The review also suggests maximizing speed settings for a faster game and encourages playing at professional difficulty. Screenshots showcase various game moments, from ball control to goal-scoring sequences. The review concludes with images of England scoring and a goalkeeper save, demonstrating the game's diverse action. World Cup 98 improves upon previous FIFA games with enhanced gameplay. Goalies are tougher and more responsive. Multiplayer is lauded as a standout feature, with easier-to-execute strategies. The ability to change tactics mid-game adds depth, showcasing classic maneuvers like the offside trap and wing-back runs. Compared to earlier N64 FIFA titles, World Cup 98 receives high praise, contrasting with FIFA 64's poor gameplay and Road to World Cup's keeper issues. The review awards World Cup 98 a stellar 93%, labeling it awesome due to its superb gameplay, instant response, and adjustable speed settings, urging players to purchase it. Dual Heroes for the N64 is a disappointing beat-em-up, drawing comparisons to but failing to match Fighter's Destiny. Priced at £54.99, it features multiplayer, memory pack, and rumble pack support but no expansion pack. The reviewer is immediately unimpressed, calling it an obscure import. The game features a predictable end-of-the-world plot, with Emperor Zor and a gravity weapon, along with Power Rangers-esque visuals and underwhelming graphics. Gameplay uses the 3D stick and standard buttons for attacks, throws, and a gimmicky metallic monster transformation. Sound is the game's highlight, boasting Far Eastern music and cool effects. Matches follow typical fighting game rules. However, the game's brevity is a major flaw, with a short single-player experience and limited two-player entertainment. The review concludes with a strong recommendation to avoid the game unless you're a die-hard fan. Dual Heroes, a beat-em-up for the N64, features 8 fighters, each with their own arena. This review highlights 4 characters. Guy Space Pilot is a well-rounded fighter. Zen Commander focuses on combos but suffers from slowness. Hana Botanist excels at dodging but lacks strong punches. Gun Space Soldier delivers powerful hits but struggles with maneuverability. Screenshots look typical of the N64 era. The game receives a score of 52%, with the reviewer unimpressed, suggesting it doesn't measure up to titles like Fighter's Destiny. They advise waiting for Mortal Kombat 4, concluding the review sarcastically with, "We've seen it, and it kicks ass." This review from a UK magazine previews Forsaken, a new N64 game, before its May 29th release. The reviewer, who's played it to bits, highlights the game's intense, fast-paced shooter gameplay with dizzying levels, deadlier enemies, and bigger weapons. The game's visuals feature an end-of-the-world vibe. The verdict is positive, with the reviewer warning players to take a sick bag, hinting at a potentially nauseating experience. The review promises a thrilling ride, especially considering the game features all the standard Min64 features like multiplayer and rumble pack. This page is the actual review for Forsaken after the preview we saw before. Big letters across the page spell out Ken as part of the game title. Right at the top, it says Forsaken Review, so there you go. It's got that classic fiery, end-of-the-world look to it, which suits the game. They're asking, so what's the score? Which is what we all want to know, isn't it? Apparently, in the future, Earth's a right mess, and the only way to get about and keep your house in order is on a flying motorbike, or cycle as they call it. You're a bounty hunter, blasting anything that gets in your way. Sounds like a laugh. They mention a robot army, and some geezer called Babala's the Robot Warlord. Classic N64 villain name that. The screenshots show exactly the sort of fast-shooting action they were talking about in the preview. One picture shows some chap on his cycle frying an enemy, and they're making a point about the explosions looking good. The other screenshot shows even more chaos with orbital weapons involved. saying it's going to get messy. Yeah, looks like a proper frantic shooter right up our street back then. Awesome tag on the page too, so looks like they rate it. Page 35 in the mag. This review of Forsaken highlights the gameplay and visual aspects of the game. The Getting Started section details early missions and tutorials, including controlling the Pion Cycle and blasting robots. These tutorials guide players through the basics, like practicing flying and achieving high scores. The Looks section raves about the game's graphics, comparing them to Star Wars and praising its immersive 3D environment. Finally, the No Mercy section introduces the 4 bounty hunter characters, each with unique strengths and weaknesses. Trucker, powerful; Locusena, fast; L.A. J, aggressive; and Nimsu Sin, accurate. The reviewer seems impressed, using phrases like brilliantly fast and awesome, suggesting a positive overall experience. The Forsaken review highlights the game's varied environments and the player's all-terrain vehicle, the Pion Cycle. A diverse Your Armory is described, featuring weapons like the Trojax, Beam Laser, and MFRL. The Lock and Load section introduces bounty hunters, showcasing their presence with screenshots of in-game action and identifying characters like Cerbid and Scepter. Sound design is praised for its music and sound effects, enhancing tension. An exclusive first tip advises caution when approaching corners. The review concludes by presenting the 4 bounty hunters: Beard, all-rounder; Clark Culver, speed; Earl Sleek, fast; and Fetid, slow but dangerous, promising a challenging and varied gameplay experience. This page, we've got a full-page poster. Doesn't get much bigger than that in a magazine, does it? This looks like it's Forsaken, considering what we were just reading on the last page. You can see one of the bounty hunter types here, in proper futuristic green armor. Looks like she's riding one of those Pion Cycles they were talking about, the all-terrain vehicle. Classic sci-fi artwork style. In the background, spaceships are going at it, explosions everywhere, green lasers firing off. Free poster, it says at the top. Mags used to chuck these out all the time, didn't they? Nintendo official magazine logo down at the bottom. Brings back memories. Yeah, this has to be Forsaken related, with the futuristic bounty hunter look and the vehicle, tying into the review we just saw. The next page gives us the verdict on Forsaken. Looks like they rated it pretty highly. Multiplay, it's got it, and it's ace, is the headline, so they reckon the multiplayer's good then. They go through the different modes: single player against computer opponents, 2-player split screen, which they admit can be a bit tricky to see everything, then 3 and 4-player modes, which get even smaller screens, but they say it's still fast. There's also a battle mode for pure mayhem, day dots. Then it moves on to single player, saying there's a new mission and it's challenging, needing some brain power as well as skills. Buster Bad Guy section gives you tips on dealing with the smaller enemies, basically just blasting them with violence. War Machines talks about the bigger bosses, saying there are plenty of them, and they're tough. Some can only be hurt with certain weapons, so you've got to be prepared. They're also sneaky, these bosses apparently. Right at the bottom the game score is revealed 92%. Awesome rating, big stamp of approval. They reckon it takes a while to get used to the controls, but it's worth it. Good graphics, good gameplay, loads to it. They are saying you'll be sucked in and won't want to stop until you're the crowned king of the bounty hunters. Pretty glowing review overall, they really liked it. Good score, 92%, that's definitely up there. This review covers 2 Game Boy games. Wario Land 2 is a praised platformer, priced at £24.99. Featuring Wario's quest to retrieve stolen treasure, it offers classic platforming with puzzle elements and unique gameplay mechanics, where enemies affect Wario in creative ways, preventing death. It received an 85% score, highlighting its excellence. World Cup 98, also £24.99, focuses on strategy and football. While offering team management and all 32 nations, the gameplay is sluggish and not very enjoyable. The review criticizes the lack of player names and gives the game a disappointing 55% score, suggesting players stick to Wario Land 2 for a better Game Boy experience. This page reviews 2 games, Vrally for Game Boy and teases Earthworm Jim 3D. Vrally is touted as the best Game Boy racer, featuring a championship mode with worldwide tracks and impressive speed for the platform. The review highlights the classy challenge of diverse environments, road rage, and customizable vehicles, awarding it an 89% score and a price of £24.99, launching June 26. On the other side, Earthworm Jim 3D, coming autumn '98 for Nintendo 64, PC, CD-ROM and PlayStation, is previewed with a focus on its upcoming release. This page screams football fever, alright? It's a full-page spread for World Cup Shootout from Computer and Video Games Magazine, or CVG as we all knew it back then. Classic. The main image is this blocky 3D footballer decked out in a France kit. Bit stiff, isn't he? Proper 90s graphics, that. Toyu. It's all about a football roundup with all the latest games in action. The screenshots show various footy games. Looks like they're covering multiple titles here. One clearly shows a game with France 98 branding. World Cup fever was definitely high back then. Scores are up on screen. Germany versus USA. France against some other team in another shot. Warrior. Down at the bottom they're plugging the June issue of CVG, on sale now apparently, for just £1.50. Bargain. And they've even got the actual magazine covers there too, showing off what else is inside. Looks like a big Gran Turismo review. That was the hot racing game at the time, wasn't it? Ultimate review of this top racer they boast. 6-page Resident Evil 2 guide and Mission Impossible, 64 mentioned too. So, a decent issue of CVG if you were after your gaming fix back in June whenever this was. Football games and Gran Turismo, sounds like a pretty typical issue for the time really. The Total Test section of the magazine, guided by Yoshi, reviews various Nintendo-related products. It covers N64 hardware, like steering wheels and memory packs, as well as Game Boy titles and accessories. Sections include Most Wanted Games, Quick Game Reviews, Famous Fives, Top Deals, Best Bundles, and a My Top 10 list. The magazine also features a Nintendo Numbers section, a rental chart, and reviews of N64 accessories. A numerical scoring system is used, ranging from real rubbish to amazing game you must play, with an awesome award given to games scoring over 90%. The scores are updated to reflect newer releases, aiming to keep the reviews relevant and up to date. This review covers 4 N64 games. Aerogauge, a futuristic racer, receives a low score of 51% due to limited and poor quality tracks. Blastcore earns an 81% for its explosive action and clever puzzles, with highlights including the space shuttle sequence. Bomberman 64 gets 73%, praised for its single-player mode, but criticized for a disappointing multiplayer experience and camera issues. Finally, Diddy Kong Racing also receives 73%, lauded for its graphics, content, and claim of being superior to Mario Kart 64, promising around 40 hours of gameplay. The reviews suggest Blastcore is the highlight, while Aerogauge disappoints. This page reviews N64 Rumble Packs, highlighting their features and various models. Game reviews showcase the impact of Rumble technology. Cruising USA receives a 59%, noted as a decent arcade conversion with easy single-player and flawed multiplayer. Doom 64 earns an 85%, praised for its vast levels and intense action. GoldenEye 007 is lauded with a 94%, celebrated for its immersive single-player campaign, intelligent AI, and revolutionary multiplayer. Chameleon Twist gets a 68%, with praise for bosses but criticism for dull levels and bad multiplayer. Finally, Clay Fighter 63 1/3 is slammed with a 25%, criticized for poor animation and control. This page reviews racing wheels and 64 games. The Top Gear Spectra video wheel scores highest at 90%, offering a realistic feel with gearstick and pedals. The LX4 Rumble wheels and V3 racing wheel also receive favorable reviews, while the VRF1 accelerator struggles with its design. The Performer Platinum sound is a budget-friendly option. For games, FIFA 98, Road to World Cup gets a 90%, lauded for its team selection and features. Extreme G, an 84% futuristic racer, is fun despite some flaws. F1 Pole Position 64 receives a 70%, noted for its realistic tracks but criticized for its slow pace and graphics. Extras include a SCART lead and a Nintendo carry case for the N64. Ace. This review page covers several N64 titles. Fighter's Destiny earns a strong 90%, praised for its unique fighting mechanics, though its characters are criticized. Lylat Wars, Star Fox 64, receives a near-perfect 93%, hailed as a classic with impressive visuals and gameplay. FIFA 64 gets a lukewarm 67%, with nice graphics but flawed gameplay, though fun for multiplayer. Hexen 64 disappoints with a 50%, criticized for its bland dungeon-crawling experience. The page concludes with a bizarre Famous 5 list of favorite game elements, including Skyfall, Porsche 911 GT Club 64, Tank from GoldenEye, Landmaster from Lylat Wars, and a milk float from Top Gear Rally. Overall, Lylat Wars is the standout, while Hexen 64 is best avoided. This page reviews classic Game Boy games and accessories. Pocket Bomberman, 81%, was praised for its fun multiplayer. Mystical Ninja, 72%, was considered inferior to its N64 counterpart. Turok, Battle of the Dinosaurs, 85%, offered action platforming. Buster Move 2 and Donkey Kong Land 3 both scored 92%, with the latter hailed as the best platformer. Accessories included the Multi-Boy, battery pack, GB wallet, and link cables for multiplayer compatibility. The page also includes a numbers section, with contact details for game companies and mini-reviews of Game Boy Color games. These included Killer Instinct Gold, 80%, Mace, The Dark Age, 79%, and Madden Football 64, 89%, offering fighting and sports action. This page presents N64 game reviews with a range of scores. International Superstar Soccer earns a stellar 93%, praised for its realistic gameplay. Mortal Kombat Trilogy disappoints with a 56%, criticized for feeling rushed. Multi-Racing Championship receives an 83% for its arcade-style racing fun. Mario Kart 64, predictably, scores a 90% and is lauded as a multiplayer classic. Mischief Makers gets an 80% for its unique platforming. Lastly, MK Mythologies suffers a devastating 36%, with the reviewer strongly disliking the game. The overall selection highlights a mixed bag of experiences, from successful sports and racing titles to disappointing fighting games. This article focuses on Nintendo 64 bundles and game reviews. Several high street retailers like HMV, Electronics Boutique, and Dixon's offered bundled consoles with games and accessories, providing modest savings. Mail order options, such as Special Reserve, Excitement Direct, and Gameplay, presented more varied packs with extras like controllers and memory packs, often offering better deals. The article also reviewed several N64 games. Nagano Winter Olympics 98 received an 80% rating. Mystical Ninja starring Goemon earned a high 90%, praised for its action-adventure gameplay. NBA Pro 98 scored 85%, highlighting gameplay detail. NBA Hangtime got 75%, noted for its arcade-style fun. Finally, NHL Breakaway 98 received 88%, recommended for its realistic hockey simulation and management features. This review covers several N64 games and memory packs. Olympic Hockey 98, an 81% scorer, is praised for fast arcade action and multiplayer, despite being a Gretzky's Hockey 98 clone without NHL teams. Pilot Wing 64 earns an 84% for its impressive graphics and rewarding gameplay. The Famous Five highlights seaside levels in games like Mario Kart 64. San Francisco Rush receives a 74%, criticized for its graphics and handling. Shadows of the Empire, at 81%, offers Star Wars action, but is only for die-hard fans. A section on memory packs explains sizes, and offers recommendations, with the Nintendo Controller Pack, £14.99, 256K, considered solid, and the N64 memory card, £12.99, 1 meg, valued for its size. Other options like LX4 memory pack, 4 meg memory, and Ultra 64 memory pack are also mentioned. This article reviews various N64 controllers beyond the official Nintendo pad. The magazine highlights several third-party options. The Competition Pro offers a good D-pad and extra shoulder buttons. The SharkPad Pro 64 excels in platformers, while the SuperPad 64 and MacaPad cater to left-handed gamers, the latter for shooters. The Trident Pad is a budget-friendly choice, and the SuperPad 64 Plus is deemed great value. The LX4 controller is cheap and cheerful, with an improved, newer version. The Arcade Shark is pricey but ideal for beat-em-ups, and the Trident Pro Pad offers extra buttons. The piece provides a comprehensive overview of the diverse controller market available at the time. This page of the Nintendo official magazine features game reviews and the UK charts. Snowboard Kids earned a 70%, praised for its cute style and accessibility. NFL Quarterback Club 98 scored a 91%, lauded for its multiplayer and challenging single-player mode. Tetrisphere received an 86%, a 3D Tetris variant with new features. Quake, a shooter, achieved a 92% with intense action. Top Gear Rally got an 85%, offering a realistic driving simulation. Wave Race 64, with its jet skis and water effects, scored an 83%. The UK charts were also listed. GoldenEye was number 1, followed by Fighter's Destiny. A competition winner, Roy Baines, won a Chrome memory pack. Readers were encouraged to submit their own top 10 lists. The text reviews several Nintendo 64 games, starting with WCW vs NWO, an 86% wrestling game praised for its roster and weapon variety, but criticized for slowdown. Super Mario 64 earns a 95% rating, lauded as a groundbreaking 3D platformer with secrets and minigames. Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey gets an 81%, hailed for its accessibility and multiplayer experience. Turok, Dinosaur Hunter receives 90%, with its Doom with Dinos approach and arsenal of weapons, while Yoshi's Story, scoring 88%, is recognized for its unique cutesy platforming style and challenges. The piece concludes with Blockbuster's rental recommendations, emphasizing multiplayer titles like GoldenEye, Mario Kart 64, and Fighter's Destiny. This advertisement from Nintendo official magazine, NOM, in the mid-90s promotes direct subscriptions. They offered 3 free mags and savings. A subscription for 12 issues cost £9, saving £8.85. The ad prominently features popular N64 games like GoldenEye and Banjo-Kazooie, highlighting the magazine's coverage. They promised exclusive news, reviews, tips, and free game guides. Subscribers were entered to win a copy of World Cup '98 on N64 and monthly prizes from Game Master. International pricing was provided, with a UK rate of £26.50 for a year. The sign-up process was old school, using a mail-in form with payment via check, postal order, or debit card, complete with source code and offer codes. This catalogue page showcases a nostalgic glimpse into the Nintendo 64 era. It starts with a competition for Mad Cat steering wheels and the GT Club 64 game. Special edition 64 bundles with gold controllers, paired with hits like GoldenEye and Yoshi's Story, are heavily featured. Accessories included Banjo-Kazooie toys, World Cup '98 memory cards, and Game Boy TV boosters, along with N64 branded merchandise. A comprehensive list of N64 games is presented, featuring classics such as Mario Kart 64 and GoldenEye 007, with prices around £40 to £45. The controller section highlighted a variety of first and third-party options. A final special offer promoted FIFA Road to World Cup '98 with a memory card discount. This advert page offers a nostalgic look at gaming in the past. It features a PlayStation bundle at a hefty price. The Super NES section boasts classic games like Donkey Kong Country and Super Mario Kart. An N64 section features ES Nintendo games, offering deals on titles like GoldenEye 007 and Zelda. The Game Boy section showcases the original brick and Game Boy Pockets, bundled with games like Tetris and Mario Land. Accessories like rumble packs, wheels, and various N64 extras are also advertised. Customers would mail in orders with a check, highlighting a bygone era of gaming commerce. This page is all about getting the upper hand in your N64 games, proper cheat sheet style. It's got a big official tips banner splashed across the top, so you know it's the real deal, or at least they reckon so. There's a list of games covered in this issue. Looks like they've got the big hitters like Diddy Kong Racing, GoldenEye, Mario Kart 64, Quake, Yoshi's Story, all the games you actually wanted tips for. Oh, they've got a section dedicated to Yoshi's Story, telling you how to unlock black and white Yoshi, a bit of a secret for the die-hard fans. Apparently you need to finish the game with a black or white Yoshi still kicking, and then you can use them in your next playthrough. Nice touch for replayability, wasn't it? Then there's some Mario Kart 64 tips, always handy for showing off to your mates. Banana trick for escaping a spin-out, and a mega jump technique using a turbo mushroom to leap over other racers. Those races could get pretty intense back in the day, so any edge was welcome. Lastly, there's a bit on Quake 64, with a cheat for invincibility and all weapons, because sometimes you just wanted to blast through everything. They've printed the code all mirrored, to stop you accidentally seeing it, proper old school magazine style. Good times flipping the page in front of a mirror to get the secrets. It's a proper nostalgia trip, this page is. This page focuses on cheat codes for N64 games, offering advantages and extra features. It begins with a controller icon guide for understanding button symbols used in codes. The guide then provides cheat codes for specific games. For GoldenEye 007, it details time codes to unlock cheats like paintball mode and tiny bond by completing levels quickly. Duke Nukem 64's cheats include cheat menu, level select, and invincibility. The codes are mirrored, requiring a mirror to read them. Finally, Diddy Kong Racing offers silly cheats like all balloons are blue and huge characters, adding to the game's fun. The page captures the spirit of bending rules and enjoying N64 games. This page is a treasure trove of N64 cheat codes. GoldenEye 007 offers a lengthy button combo for extra deathmatch characters. FIFA RTTWC 98 allows player editing for bizarre results like ghost players and unlimited attributes. Readers seek cheat advice for Mario Kart 64, Wave Race, and the elusive milk truck in Top Gear Rally. Other games like Diddy Kong Racing, Opponents Faster, Yoshi's Story, Bubble Bursting, and Extreme G, Secret Bikes, also have cheats. Tetrisphere features code for secret characters, tunes, and a hidden game, while Snowboard Kids unlocks everything with a mirror reading code. The page also hosts a Give Us a Call section for gaming help and a competition to win a controller and memory pack. This page carries on with the cheat theme, kicking off with Fighter's Destiny and a secret move for USHI the cow, of all characters. Apparently, if you double tap Z and give Ushi's udder a pull, he swigs some milk and swings the jug at his opponent. Right then, milk-based combat, that's a new one, Warrington-y. Then there's some NBA Pro 98 tips. Easy three-pointers and free throws are the headlines. Basic stuff really, about fadeaways and slowing down the free throw line. Hardly groundbreaking stuff if you've picked up a controller before. Next up, it's Play God cheat codes for Hexen, Turok, and Doom. They reckon these codes will make your character powerful, which is the whole point of cheats, isn't it? For Hexen, it looks like invincibility is on offer. Turok's got something similar, and Doom is promising invincibility and all weapons. Standard God mode fare for those wanting to blast through levels without breaking a sweat. Finally, there's a Nintendo problem section. It's a call to action, asking readers to send in their cheat questions if they're stuck in a game. They even say it's totally free, and they'll pay for postage if you rip out the page and send it in. Bit of a faff compared to the internet these days. But back then, ripping pages out of magazines was the way we rolled for tips and tricks. You had to fill in your details too if you wanted to send in your cheat question, proper old school. This page is the totally free envelope that they were banging on about on the last page. It's literally a template to make your own envelope. You know, back in the day before email was on every phone and carrier pigeon was unreliable. Warily. Looks like you cut along the lines, fold it in a few places as per the numbered instructions, stick it down, and boom, you've got a postage-paid envelope to send in your burning Nintendo cheat questions. Number 6 even tells you to stick down along the side. Pretty high-level instruction there. And just in case you were thinking of sneaking a game cartridge in there, in big bold letters it warns, don't put anything in this envelope. Right, just questions then, got it. Fair enough, free postage is free postage, I suppose. This advertisement promotes the game Weetrix, also referred to as Flood It, available on Nintendo 64 and PC. The advert has a bright, 90s aesthetic. The gameplay seems to be a puzzle game with water physics and blobby characters, vaguely similar to Tetris. Marketing materials include quotes from Nintendo Magazine praising the game and high review scores, 91% and 93%. The ad encourages purchase regardless of the player's preferences. Screenshots hint at gameplay involving building walls to contain or flood a level. Weetrix, developed by Ocean, aims to be the next big puzzle game. This magazine page offers tips for Bomberman 64, specifically focusing on the first stage of Black Fortress. It includes a guide to collecting gold cards, which were challenging to find. The page features a contents list for the Bomberman section, hinting at boss tips and best times. A We Said box warns new players of the game's difficulty. The guide details various power-ups like Fire, Heart and Bomb, including Super Bomb and Remote Bomb. It then provides a step-by-step walkthrough of Black Fortress Stage 1, with screenshots showing the path to the exit and the locations of hidden gold cards. This guide was aimed at helping players navigate the stage and complete the game, particularly focusing on the completionist aspect of finding all the gold cards and the locage wire. Black Fortress Stages 2 and 3 in Bomberman 64 are detailed. Stage 2 features a boss requiring strategic use of bombs to destroy his guns and exploit vulnerabilities. The guide offers visual instructions. Stage 3 is a puzzle level with switches, tiles and lifts, guiding players to the exit through timed movements and switch activations, again with visual aids. Both stages include sections on finding gold cards, detailing specific locations, and challenges like enemy kills and target times. Stage 2's cards involve lifts, boxes, and switch sequences. Stage 3s involve enemy kills, speedruns, and platform exploration. The guide also provides a quick tip for faster bomb placement, and emphasizes replay value through these collectibles and challenges. This guide covers Stage 4 and Rainbow Palace Stage 1 in Bomberman 64. Stage 4 focuses on defeating the boss Altair, who can kill with a single laser attack. The strategy involves using pumped-up bombs to damage Altair and his sidekick. The guide also includes gold card locations and quick tips, such as talking to Sirius for advice. Rainbow Palace Stage 1 is about reaching the exit, requiring platforming with bombs, blowing up obstacles, and activating switches. It offers a step-by-step guide, gold card locations, and quick tips, including using pumped-up bombs for multiple enemy kills to obtain a specific gold card. The next page carries on with the Bomberman 64 tips, this time covering Stage 2 and Stage 3. Stage 2 is all about taking on Spellmaker, who looks like a right pain. Apparently you've got to bomb his shadow, not him directly, which is a bit of a guessing game by the looks of it. The guide says to wait for him to show the purple blade card, then his history sounds straightforward enough, but probably isn't in practice, is it? They've marked out where to grab the gold cards during the fight, which is always handy. Stage 3 moves on to just getting to the level exit. This one's more about puzzle solving and platforming with bombs. They're telling you to blow up pillars, destroy blocks, and even kill a load of enemies to get gold cards. Standard Bomberman fare, really. There are tips on using pumped-up bombs to reach higher platforms and bounce across gaps using those wee lads. Wee laddies they call them, bless 'em. Gold card locations are marked out here as well, naturally. Juicy. They've also thrown in some quick tips at the bottom about completing stages quickly to snag extra gold cards, and a bit of encouragement to get your butt in gear. Typical gaming mag pep talk, isn't it? All in all, solid tips for getting through Bomberman 64. This page offers tips for Bomberman 64, starting with quick tips. These include basic information like the meaning of the yellow clock, target time, and using the circle button to lob bombs. More advanced advice covers using the 3D stick for throws, the delayed detonation of remote bombs, and stunning enemies with headshots. Multiplayer tips offer more strategic advice, throwing bombs into explosions for chain reactions, hiding bombs strategically, and using normal bombs for their speed are highlighted. Other tips focus on techniques like throwing bombs over heads, reflecting kicked bombs, and using stage features like grass and stairs for sneaky plays. Finally, Stage 4 offers limited advice, suggesting players keep moving and use pumped-up bombs in the 2-round final showdown. The page concludes with a congratulations message and an invitation for readers to submit their own tips. Warrington now. This month's challenges feature 4 classic N64 games for a chance to win prizes like a controller and rumble pack. Players can compete in Mario Kart 64, Koopa Troopa Beach, GoldenEye 007, Military Archives, Diddy Kong Racing, Spaceport Alpha, and Yoshi's Story, Tower Climb. Last month's results are also available, with winners including Will Ho in Top Gear Rally, Damon Osborne in Mario Kart, and Daniel Donachie dominating GoldenEye. To enter, take a picture of your TV screen displaying your score, include your details, and mail it to an address in the Isle of Dogs. Top scorers will receive prizes. This page is all about getting better at GoldenEye multiplayer, proper lad stuff back in the day, on the N64. It's a guide, part 2 it says, on how to beat your mate in deathmatch. It's got a contents bit that covers all the important stuff for getting good at GoldenEye, like advanced tactics, best weapons, level tactics, and character advantages. All the tricks you needed to know. There's even a section on auto-aim glitch. Cheeky. They're talking about using explosives, grenades and mines. Grenades are apparently more useful if you're accurate, mines for when you want to set traps and run away laughing as your mate walks into them. Good times. Then there's a section on characters, saying picking the right one makes a difference. Apparently, women are faster, men are tougher, and Oddjob is just a pain in the backside to shoot because he's so small. They're also giving tips on camouflage, saying dark characters for dark levels like caves, and lighter characters for places like the bunker. Makes sense, doesn't it? They even suggest mid-colored soldiers for temple. It's all pretty obvious when you think about it, but back then, we lapped this stuff up to get the edge on our mates. Good bit of nostalgia this. This section of the GoldenEye multiplayer guide focuses on weapon tactics. The guide highlights weapon strengths and weaknesses, noting rapid-fire weapons excel in spraying bullets, while slower weapons pack a punch. Certain weapons like the R33 RCP-90, and Magnum can shoot through doors, offering strategic advantages. The guide emphasizes the Magnum's ability to pierce unbreakable glass, such as in Facility. The text advises choosing weapons based on the environment, suggesting spray weapons for open spaces and pistols for close quarters. Headshots are crucial for one-shot kills, with powerful weapons like the shotgun and Magnum dealing double damage. Quick reaction times are emphasized, including the tactic of pre-pressing the fire button for faster shooting. Finally, the guide mentions an auto-aim glitch that, even when misaligned, can lead to a tasty kill. This page is a cracking action shot of Bond, from GoldenEye 007, leaping over a railing like he's auditioning for the Olympics, but with a tux on. Looks like he's dodging some laser beams, naturally, and there are a couple of goons in the background getting a bead on him. It's flagged as a free poster at the top there, which is decent value for money back then, wasn't it? And you've got the Nintendo official magazine logo at the bottom. Proper 90s style. Given the previous page was all about weapon tactics in GoldenEye multiplayer, this poster is bang on theme. It's a classic image for a classic game, that's for sure. This guide offers multiplayer tactics for GoldenEye 007, focusing on archives and caverns. Archives favors strategic play due to its confined spaces, with tips on shooting through doors with power weapons and using explosive ammo for ambushes. Caverns, best for 3 players or less, features narrow walkways and ambush points. It highlights body armor locations, secret passages, and the use of exploding barrels. The guide also details door slamming tactics and a flag tag glitch for archives using pistols, allowing a player to win by exploiting a metal door's invulnerability. This information offers valuable insights for players seeking to dominate in GoldenEye's multiplayer mode. This GoldenEye 007 multiplayer guide offers level-specific tactics. Facility allows vent access to the toilets for a secret return. Library features the stack and basement as prime vantage points. Complex highlights secret passages and body armor locations. The Egyptian level, for 2-player deathmatch, centers around pillars and secret passages, with armor in specific rooms. Caves are dark, so increased brightness, and armor is found on ramps and in specific rooms. A tip for faster movement advises using the 3D stick, with C or Z, not just C. The guide hints at future cheat techniques. See. This page, blimey, it's an advert for the Nintendo 64 limited edition gold pack. Remember that thing? For £149.99 you could get the console, any game that was £49.99 or less, and a fancy gold memory card for a tenner. They really pushed the boat out with that gold plastic, didn't they? Showing off the console, the golden controller, and even the memory card in all its shiny glory. Below the console they've got the games you could choose from: Mario Kart 64, GoldenEye 007, and Diddy Kong Racing. Absolute classics, the lot of them. Mario Kart 64, still a blast with mates. GoldenEye, well, everyone was obsessed with that back then, weren't they? Especially after that multiplayer guide from the last page, everyone would have been trying out those sneaky tactics. And Diddy Kong Racing, a decent kart racer in its own right if you were maybe a bit bored of Mario Kart, or just wanted more kart racing. At the bottom it's all branded up with Top Dog for Games and HMV, so you knew where to go get it. Those were the days, popping down to HMV for your new N64 gear. This page promotes the N64 game Weetrix before its release, with a focus on a free Blockbuster rental offer. Ocean Infogrames and Blockbuster collaborated on the promotion, featuring a Play It Free voucher for rentals between June 5th and 18th, 1998. The page also includes a reader review contest with prizes for high scores, encouraging user interaction. Tips for gameplay and high scores are offered, along with instructions on how to enter the competition, play, score high, and submit a code and review. The promotion's terms and conditions are also included. Play. This page offers official Weetrix tips to improve gameplay. Key advice includes mastering block rotation, especially for non-square shapes, through practice to avoid panic during intense moments. The waste corner is recommended for discarding unwanted blocks and bombs, but avoid repeated bombing without repair to prevent water leakage. Fireballs damage land, but can thaw frozen lakes if they miss the water. Ice cubes fix leaks without triggering earthquakes. Downers are essential for water management. Use them to enlarge lakes and crack ice. These simple, effective tips are designed to help players maximize scores and manage water effectively. This page carries on with the Weetrix tips, diving into a high-scoring game walkthrough, aiming to get you into the million score range. It's broken down into 9 steps, visually showing you how to build up your Weetrix landscape for maximum points. Step 1 and 2 are all about setting up your main lake using L, T and I-shaped blocks, then deeping those duck ponds with Square's classic Weetrix building blocks really. Step 3 and 4 tell you to enclose that main lake and use the directional pad to guide bombs to your waste corner, which is a handy trick for dealing with those pesky bombs. Steps 5, 6 and 7 are about trimming bumps, extending the main lake outwards with upper blocks for more water capacity, and generally sorting out your main structure. Steps 8 and 9 are basically saying keep going, build it higher, keep scoring, and you'll hit those massive scores, with a screenshot showing over 1 million points. Pretty impressive for back then. There's also a getting good section, which is pretty standard stuff really, telling you to think ahead and plan for the next block coming up, and lost causes, which is basically saying if it all goes wrong, don't sweat it, just pause and start again. Sensible advice for any game really. Finally, it finishes with next-ish, hinting at more Weetrix challenges coming up, so it looks like they were really pushing this game. This advertisement from Special Reserve promotes its Mail-Order Madness annual membership for £6, offering 10 club magazine issues and a cheat book. It heavily features the Nintendo 64, with a limited edition gold console and a Fire Pack bundle on offer, alongside numerous games at a 10% discount, including classics like GoldenEye 007 and Mario Kart 64. The ad also includes Super NES and Pocket Game Boy games, but focuses more on PlayStation titles like Gran Turismo and Resident Evil 2. Upcoming game releases are listed, timed around the World Cup '98. Joining the club offers free gifts like a goodie bag or gaming accessories. Special Reserve also lists its physical stores across the South East and Midlands, boasting a massive selection and low prices. Overall, it's a classic late 90s games retailer ad, aiming to entice customers with discounts, freebies, and a wide selection of games. This walkthrough guides players through the initial stages of Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, Mystical Ninja 64, beginning in Edo Town and progressing to Mount Fuji. It covers basic controls like weapon switching and map checking. Players are advised to explore Edo Town, talk to locals for clues, and save progress at the inn. The guide directs players to Kai Highway, then to Mount Fuji, where they'll find a house with loot. It points out Mokubei, who provides the chain pipe weapon. Finally, it instructs players to return to Edo Town and use the chain pipe on a broken bridge to advance. The walkthrough provides essential guidance without being overly prescriptive, helping players navigate the early game. This page continues the walkthrough for Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, still in the Odo Castle area. Looks like they are guiding you through the castle level step by step with pictures and captions, very helpful for back in the day before everyone had the internet constantly at their fingertips. It's all about finding keys, using lifts and avoiding baddies. Pretty standard platforming stuff really. They even point out the first boss, a large red head boss, charmingly descriptive, isn't it? The guide tells you to run under its mouth and hit its chin to defeat it. After that it seems you meet the king and queen, and then you're off to the water area and need to swim through some tunnels. The final step shown on this page is talking to 2 guards to get a city pass and then following a path up a hill. Seems like a solid, if somewhat basic, walkthrough of the early part of the game. Good for anyone who got stuck back then or anyone wanting a bit of retro help now. This walkthrough for Mystical Ninja starring Goemon continues past Odo Castle, focusing on the giant robot Kashiwagi bonus level, a mech-based stage. It then guides players through Yamato, navigating the forest to reach the dragon Koryuta. Defeating Koryuta involves repeated attacks when the dragon stops spinning, Kaseija. Next, the walkthrough covers Zazen Town, detailing how to acquire a weapon from Ushiwaka, and recruit Sasuke the mechanical ninja by getting past a guard. Finally, it leads players to Kompira Mountain, instructing them to collect the Firecoin weapon by depositing 5 coins. The guide concludes with Fokipoke Village and Tomsa, implying a comprehensive walkthrough for the game. This guide segment covers Kompira Spa and Ghost Toy's Castle in Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. At Kompira Spa, players must acquire shrinking power by gathering 8 sweets after interacting with townspeople and the dragon in Zazen Town, and Ushiwaka. This allows access to Ghost Toy's castle. Inside the castle, players use the fire coin, defeat enemies for keys, navigate lifts, and utilize a magical camera. The guide details specific actions, like activating switches, revisiting rooms, and switching characters. The Ghost Toy's boss battle requires the magical camera to make the boss transparent, allowing players to target his heart. Defeating the boss grants a demo and advances the game to Zazen Town. The next guide will cover Robot Ghost and the game's conclusion. Club Mario's letters page, run by Simon and Sean, covers reader submissions. Discussions revolve around the N64, with readers debating its merits against the PlayStation and praising games like Fighter's Destiny, Super Mario 64, GoldenEye, and Diddy Kong Racing. One reader inquires about importing N64 consoles, while another vents frustration at PlayStation fans. The page includes a Name That Game quiz, featuring clues related to games like Konami Winter Olympics, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Star Fox 64, and Diddy Kong Racing. There's also a fun, Ultimate Warrior feature, showcasing a reader-created superhero. Screenshots of Yoshi's Story and GoldenEye are included, highlighting the visual appeal of N64 games. This page highlights community engagement around the Nintendo 64. Rachel Darby won Reader Chart of the Month for her top 5 N64 games: Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Fighter's Destiny, Yoshi's Story, GoldenEye 007. Readers debated game reviews, like the score for WCW vs NWO World Tour and a criticism of Yoshi's Story. Classic console wars arguments and multiplayer discussions about Mario Kart 64 vs Diddy Kong Racing also appeared. A U-Review section featured Stuart Anderson, praising FIFA Road to World Cup. A brain strain quiz tested N64 knowledge. Finally, Elaine Kearsmakers won a contest, and a mention of Nintendo sponsoring Fiorentina and a Mario joke finished off the page. Club Mario's latest issue features a Mario Mart, showcasing imported Japanese goods like Donkey Kong Country Crisps and mini Mario Kart models. The magazine also poses questions in Mario's hit list, including predictions about the Color Game Boy and the 64DD. Reader letters include complaints about Cruisenews's score, and discussions on multiplayer games, like Mario Kart 64 and GoldenEye 007. Readers debated the merit of guide pages, and a missing GoldenEye 007 weapon. Finally, My Game spotlights Theme Football, a management sim, predicting potential success for the genre on the N64. A winner for a Fighter's Destiny kart is also announced. Ligue. This Club Mario page features reader artwork and letters. Fan art showcases popular games like Zelda, Duke Nukem, and James Bond, with Mario 64 and snowboarding pieces. The letters section discusses rumors about Pokémon Stadium and the 64DD, complaints about games like Clay Fighters and FIFA, and PlayStation's advertising. Readers voice concerns about game prices and delays, especially for 1080° snowboarding. Simon, answering the letters, addresses these concerns, defending Nintendo's advertising and the high score given to Weetrix. Another reader counters the complaints by listing numerous upcoming N64 titles. The magazine also highlights falling game prices for titles like Turok and Snowboard Kids. Finally, there are standard magazine credits and thank yous. Worry. This Blagfest page from the official Nintendo magazine features several contests. Readers could win World Cup 98 prizes, including Merlin stickers, albums, and gold medallions by answering a football quiz question. A Going for Gold contest offered a limited edition gold N64 controller, GoldenEye, and a memory pack, with a question about James Bond. The comics section gave away Supergirl and Batman comics from Titan Books, with a Superman-related quiz. Fire offered N64 keyrings, and Watch Out for Wario offered copies of Wario Land 2. To enter, contestants needed to mail in postcards with their answers, marking their entry with the corresponding competition name. This Talk to Us, It's Free page from Club Mario magazine was a mail-in form designed for reader interaction. Readers were encouraged to cut out and mail the page, with postage paid by the magazine. The form featured several sections. Club Mario solicited general feedback on the magazine, Nintendo, and games. U-Review invited game reviews, with a chance to win a Nintendo 64 game, focusing on game name, pros/cons, graphics, and overall verdict. My Game was a game design contest, asking for game type, player count, setting, gameplay details, and imaginative ideas, also offering an N64 game as a prize. My Chart predicted the top Nintendo games. Finally, there was a section for personal details, including name, age, address, and phone number, with an option to opt out of special offers. This interactive approach was common for magazines before the rise of the internet. This page is the actual template to make the free envelope itself, Continuing on from the mail-in form we just saw, basically you're supposed to cut this page out, follow the instructions which are numbered 1 through 6 with little arrows showing you where to fold, and then stick it all together. It's a pre-addressed envelope for Nintendo official magazine Club Mario, and it's got the free postage license number printed on it so you don't need a stamp, which is a nice touch back in the day. There's a section at the top where you tick what you're sending in with options like Club Mario for general feedback, You Review for game reviews, My Charts and My Game for those sections we saw on the previous page. And at the bottom in big letters it says, "Don't put anything in this envelope," which is clearly a bit of cheeky humor, because of course you are supposed to put your forms in the envelope. Presumably, it's just saying don't try and send anything bulky or inappropriate, just your completed form, right? Good times. This advert from Gameplay showcases the N64 in its prime, boasting the world's most powerful consoles at competitive prices. They offered numerous N64 bundles, including popular games like Mario Kart 64, GoldenEye, and Diddy Kong Racing. The advert also featured a comprehensive list of UK N64 games, with prices around £40 each. Beyond the consoles and games, Gameplay sold accessories like controllers, memory cards, and steering wheels. Used games were also available, alongside a Game Boy emulator. The advert concluded with a mail order form and contact numbers, representing a bygone era of gaming retail before the digital age. It's a nostalgic reminder of how gamers acquired their hardware and software back then. Worry. Body Harvest, an action-adventure game for the N64 by DMA Design, later Rockstar North, is slated for an October 1998 release. Set in 2016, the game features a space marine named Adam Drake, who must time travel to stop aliens harvesting humans. Players will traverse various vehicles, including cars, motorcycles, and planes. Progression involves earning flight capabilities and facing boss battles at the end of each level. The magazine highlights the game's features as terrifying aliens, tons of guns, stunning music, looks amazing. The article also previews other upcoming N64 titles, including Airborders, Zelda 64, and Mortal Kombat 4, among others, along with a fast news section hinting at more upcoming Nintendo games. Body Harvest is a time-traveling action game where players control Adam, a space marine battling alien harvesters across different eras. The game features diverse environments and vehicles: 1916 Greece, trenches; 1941 Java, rumble car; 1966 America, helicopters; 1991 Siberia, Harrier jets; and Comet 2041, alien mothership. The preview promises intense action, with the potential to poo your pants. The review is filled with hype, describing the game as white hot and totally awesome, suggesting explosive gameplay involving tanks and various weapons across time. This page is all about Silicon Valley, a peculiar game for the N64 from DMA Design. These are the guys who later became Rockstar North, so you know they've got pedigree. It's billed as a puzzling adventure coming out in November 1998, so right around the time we were getting all sorts of interesting stuff on the N64. The page blurb talks about a topsy-turvy world with floating sheep, short-sighted scorpions, and a rabbit with helicopter ears. Sounds like a right laugh, doesn't it? Apparently, Silicon Valley is a spaceship that went missing and has now reappeared, and you play as Dan Danger, who sends his robot Evo in to explore. Poor old Evo gets blown to bits pretty quickly, typical. The screenshots show this yellow blob character, Evo I reckon, in some colourful blocky environments. One caption mentions in Niceland, Evo can turn into a sheep, and even glide as a floating sheep to reach islands. Right then, shape-shifting sheep. Why not? Another screenshot mentions a purple blob in the background, being a Powerball. It all looks a bit mad, in a good way mind you, like the kind of quirky stuff you'd expect on the N64. At the bottom there's a massive scorpion-looking thing, probably one of the weird enemies you'll be facing. Definitely looks like something different from your usual platformer or shooter. Puzzling adventure is probably a good way to describe it. Following the destruction of Evo, the robotic mouse, his black box chip allows him to inhabit other robotic animals in the Nintendo 64 game, Silicon Valley. The gameplay involves body snatching, with Evo able to possess creatures like sheep, which he can impale with his tail. Players will experience diverse environments, including a desert level. Bears in the game can interact with objects, such as boxes. A robotic lion is also featured, potentially an enemy or another form Evo can inhabit. Overall, the game's premise is described as unconventional and uniquely suited to the Nintendo 64. Mission: improbable. details a level in Silicon Valley where a robotic consciousness inhabits various animals to progress. Starting as a mouse, the player becomes a fox to evade enemies, then a dog inexplicably attacking sheep, before finally using a sheep's ability to float. A foxtail turns into a rocket for puzzle solving, and a dog sniffs out secrets. The Great Indoors section reveals a shift to indoor, maze-like levels. These include navigating floating crates, rocket-launching dogs battling rats, and a level involving a dead scientist and a key. There's also a level featuring a polar bear on ice with penguins, introducing level variety. Silicon Valley is showcasing new gameplay elements, including improved animal AI that prevents self-harm and introduces predator/prey dynamics. A new level from DMA Design, possibly themed around Silicon Valley, features an indoor cave maze. Screenshots depict sheep interacting with power cables, fleeing from dogs, and being herded. Another section highlights Evo, a shape-shifting character, as a bear, a mouse, and a missile-launching dog, demonstrating the game's quirky mechanics. The game embraces outlandish ideas, such as flying rabbits. The review concludes that Silicon Valley is cartoonish, puzzle-focused, and potentially excellent, drawing comparisons to Warner Bros. Cartoons. The reviewers seem enthusiastic, encouraging players to save up for the game. Iggy's Wrecking Balls, a 3D racing game from Acclaim, aims to be a cutesy racer with attitude for the Nintendo 64. Set in the unusual world of Chodama, racers navigate rollercoaster-like tracks, much to the dismay of the local inhabitants. Players control their ball-shaped racers using jump, grapple, and boost abilities to overcome obstacles and gain an edge. The game features a cast of weird and wonderful racers, including Amanda, Charlie, Gnarly, Cutie, and Robert, each with unique characteristics and racing styles. The game seems to be aiming for the same appeal as Mario Kart 64. WWF Warzone for the N64, developed by Acclaim, is previewed as a potential competitor to WCW vs NWO wrestling games. The article highlights impressive graphics with large, well-animated wrestlers, and details extra fighting elements like training and weapons, including baseball bats. Customization options for wrestlers are also mentioned, allowing changes to appearance and personality. The review is generally positive, suggesting the game looks promising even in its unfinished state, and anticipating enjoyable gameplay. Another game, Iggy's Wrecking Balls, is also positively reviewed, noting its unique vertical track racing gameplay. WWF Warzone is slated for an August '98 release. Buck Bumble, a 3D shoot-'em-up developed by Ubisoft, arrived on the N64 in September 1998. Players control Buck, a cyborg bumblebee who must battle an invading evil herd of alien insects in a microscopic world. Armed with various weapons, including guns, missiles, and bayonets, Buck fights wasps, bugs, ants, and more. The game featured graphics that were considered impressive for the N64 era. Screenshots showcase Buck dodging enemies, navigating tunnels, and battling in environments like gardens. Buck Bumble offered a unique premise for players interested in cyborg insects and microscopic warfare. This page showcases a couple of N64 titles. On the left we have Buck Bumble, that game about a cyborg bumblebee fighting robotic insects. It seems to be focusing on the action side of things, calling it Fight Flight. They're saying you're blasting through armies of these robotic critters in the air and on the ground. The screenshots show the little fella up against wasp-like robots and insect tanks, all quite hectic with explosions. The reviewer reckons the lighting effects are good, and mentions you can search debris for power-ups. They're also teasing a two-player split-screen mode in the We Think box, saying it's promising because of the tiny character against massive obstacles. On the right-hand side, it's all about SimCity 2000, coming to the N64. They're pitching it as a classic city builder, explaining the basic premise of building a city from scratch for anyone who's been living under a rock. Apparently, it's addictive, but they're warning people to avoid the Japanese version due to language barriers in the menus and status screens, making it unplayable. The screenshots show the typical SimCity isometric view, with an alien mothership menacing the city, and tips about using the circular icon to build roads. Looks like your standard SimCity gameplay, but on the N64. Good for those who like that sort of thing, I suppose. The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, the highly anticipated Nintendo 64 title, has been delayed once more. The Japanese release is pushed to November, suggesting a February 1999 release, for other regions. Shigeru Miyamoto claims the game will surpass Resident Evil 2 and Final Fantasy VII. The game is a 3D adventure featuring glorious graphics, tough puzzles, and massive monsters. Screenshots showcase Link in various environments: a haunted castle, underwater battling electric tentacles, and inside a dragon. The game includes the Forest of Illusion, with a huge magical tree. Based on a demo shown at Nintendo's Space World show, the game is described as magnificent. The reviewers hope the delay will result in an even better final product. Ging. This page is all about Airborder 64, another N64 title from Human, those guys who did that frankly rubbish F1 pole position. It's a racing sim, but with hoverboards instead of cars, coming out in July 1998. They reckon it's like Back to the Future, which is a bit of a stretch, isn't it? The screenshots show you hooning around on these hoverboards in different places. There's one in a city, pulling off stunts, another on a beach level where they say you can easily get lost, which sounds about right for some of these N64 games. Remember the fog? Then there's a bizarre one racing around inside a massive house, proper wacky. They reckon you can score points and get hidden bits by doing tricks. I see. Apparently, airboarding is great because you can do it anywhere, any terrain. They mention loads of different courses, including the giant house, which they say is one of the toughest. Down at the bottom, in the We Think box, they are having a bit of a dig, comparing it to 1080 snowboarding. They say Airborder is like slush, and not a patch on 1080, but then winter is a long way away. So who cares, eh? A bit harsh maybe, but these magazines back then didn't pull any punches sometimes. This review highlights two N64 games. Firstly, All-Star Baseball 99 is praised for its realistic graphics and official MLB license, making it potentially appealing even in areas where baseball isn't popular. The gameplay is described as easy to pick up, utilizing the N64 controller's buttons for pitching and batting. The reviewer is impressed with the graphics, animation and gameplay, calling it a game to watch. Secondly, World Grand Prix is touted as the definitive racing simulator for the N64, surpassing earlier titles. Developed by Paradigm, the creators of Pilotwings 64, it offers a realistic simulation of the 1997 Grand Prix season, including numerous tracks, teams, and drivers. The game boasts features like weather effects and adjustable car settings, and a focus on realism. Upcoming N64 games include Pokémon Stadium, now confirmed for a cartridge release, not the 64DD. It will utilize a 64 GB pack to render Game Boy Pokémon in 3D, promising addictive gameplay. Screenshots show 3D Pokémon battles, featuring familiar characters like Gengar and Spear. Buster Move 2 is also on the horizon, promising more bubble-popping puzzle action with a cute dinosaur, offering multiple modes and multiplayer options. Lastly, Rat Attack features Scratch Cats battling mutant space rats in 3D levels, with up to 4-player multiplayer. The games aim to deliver quirky looks and frantic action for Pokémon Stadium, and mindless fun for Rat Attack. This page is all about the upcoming N64 game Mission Impossible. Looks like Infogrames are bringing the movie to our consoles as a spy adventure. September 1st release date, is what they're saying. Apparently, they got their hands on a newer version and are telling us it's packed with 16 massive levels, plus some hidden bonus ones, naturally. They've even included a training mission to get you up to speed with the controls, which is always handy, and introduces you to Ethan, the star of the show, naturally. They mention updated action levels, and apparently, slower bits from the playthrough have ended up on the cutting room floor, which is probably for the best who wants slow bits in a spy game. It boasts a massive 3D world, loads of top gadgets, and puzzles to burn your brain, which sounds like the usual marketing spiel, but hopefully, it'll deliver. There's a picture of Ethan in-game, looking very serious at a computer terminal, as you do when you're saving the world. It's marked as a Nintendo 64 update, so seems like they're keeping us in the loop with what's coming. This preview of the Mission Impossible game details several gameplay aspects. The face mask gadget, central to the game, allows Ethan to disguise himself, with the player seeing the transformation occur in real time. A mission in Prague involves finding a missing key amidst poisonous gas and environmental destruction. Finally, the preview introduces new sniper levels, where players control Ethan's team rather than Ethan directly. The sniper level, Mainland, is currently available, with content from Waterloo Station teased for the future. The magazine previews the N64 Mission Impossible game, detailing several levels. Early levels like the Start and Subpen serve as tutorials. Gunboat involves boat combat, while Blowing the Tunnel features demolition. Security Corridor introduces stealth elements and a computer-savvy ally. Embassy utilizes the Facemaker gadget, and Warehouse focuses on gas and masks. Mainland with Sniper allows players to control a sniper, protecting Ethan. The preview suggests a mix of action, platforming, and puzzle solving. The magazine promises more details on new levels, the sniper level, and train gun battles in the next issue. This page is a blast from the past, filled with competitions typical of the era. The contests offer a variety of prizes, including Nintendo consoles, N64s, games and accessories, and even tickets to the 1998 World Cup final in Paris. Instant win games provide chances to win PlayStations, N64s, Pentium PCS, and other tech. Alien Attack and Stuff contests feature prizes ranging from consoles and TVS to mountain bikes and cameras. Shootout, Supercop, and Pop 5.0 offer similar prize pools, including consoles, stereos and video recorders, requiring players to answer questions or complete challenges. Notably, many of these contests relied on premium-rate phone lines, costing up to £3 per call, indicating a strong push for revenue. The next page is all about Glover, remember that one? Yep, the game where you play as a glove. It's flagged as a hilarious hero, and boasting gorgeous graphics, which, looking at the screenshots, might be a bit generous, even for 98, but alright, let's go with it. Game info tells us it's from Interactive Studios, a 3D adventure, and was due out in December 98. Story-wise, it's your classic wizard mishap, bad glove turns rogue, good glove, that's you needs to fix it all, standard N64 fare really. They're bigging up ball control as a key feature, saying Glover's levels are massive across 6 worlds, all about finding power crystals disguised as rubber balls and getting them to the end. The screenshots show Glover rolling, bouncing, and generally messing about with a ball in some colorful 3D environments. Then there's 2 Become 1, which is about Glover's moves, bounce, balance, grab, roll and throw, showcasing different actions you can do with the ball. They're saying in each new world you get new skills and fancy tricks. Right then, sounds like a quirky platformer aiming for the family market. They're certainly keen on pushing the graphics being awesome, but it's probably more charming by today's standards, wouldn't you say? Still, it's got that classic N64 platformer vibe, could be a decent laugh. Upcoming N64 games include Tonic Trouble, a 3D platformer where a blue alien causes mutant chaos, with a focus on collecting samples and conducting experiments. Glover is also featured, highlighting a boss fight against Frankenstein's monster within a puzzle-solving level that involves using a rubber ball to trigger switches and lower platforms. The text also covers Nightmare Creatures, a gothic horror adventure set in 1830s London, filled with monsters and promising a bloody experience, along with a 4-player deathmatch mode. A We Think box positively reviews Glover, comparing it to Super Mario 64 and praising its potential. The article concludes by suggesting a variety of games for the N64 in the near future. Rampage World Tour is coming to the N64, promising the same monster-filled mayhem as the classic arcade game. This eat-em-up features George the Gorilla, Lizzie the Lizard, and Ralph the Wolf, transformed into giant monsters by a Scumlabs explosion. Players can destroy buildings, eat humans, and compete for the highest score. The N64 version, a coin-op conversion, allows up to 3 players for cooperative destruction. While the screenshots show familiar scenes of city-smashing chaos, the article teases a full review in the next issue, leaving the question of its quality unanswered. The review will reveal if the nostalgia holds up. Konami is releasing a puzzle game called Crazy Cross, reminiscent of Super NES titles, with a blob matching mechanic and a freezing element. The reviewer anticipates it will entertain puzzle fans, but doubts a UK release. Psygnosis confirmed Wipeout 64 for N64, a beefed-up version of Wipeout 2097 with new tracks, races, and 4-player split-screen. Secret races from the previous game will be included. The developers are also seeking fan input for ideas. Lastly, Gex 3D Enter the Gecko is previewed, with a story about Gex trapped in the media dimension, featuring levels based on various films and TV shows, and costume changes. This page is all about Bomberman Hero for the N64. Looks like they're calling him the Baron of Blasting and Duke of Detonation. Bit much if you ask me, but hey, it's Bomberman. Apparently, after saving the world in Bomberman 64, he retired to his secret base, only to be dragged back into action after a robot tells him Queen Million has been nicked by the evil Wold's Empire. Standard Bomberman fare then, rescue the princess type thing. They're highlighting dozens of worlds, all new vehicles, and bulky bosses, so sounds like they're trying to pump up the scale of this one. The screenshots show Bomberman strolling around, chucking bombs, and then the bombs exploding with ripple effects on the floor. Gameplay looks pretty much what you'd expect, bombing things, and running away before you get blown up yourself. They mention the bosses are stunning, featuring a Neko and an electrified bloke. Sounds interesting. Game Info says it's by Hudson, a 3D adventure, and release is TBA, so still a bit off yet. Good to see Bomberman back on the N64 though, always a solid blast, even if the story is a bit daft. This magazine page is a confusing mix of information, mainly focusing on Bomberman Hero but also mentioning Star Soldier. The Amazing Adventure section details Bomberman's new abilities, like pushing blocks, aiming for a more action-oriented experience. Who's the Boss discusses Bomberman Hero's bosses, described as typical and potentially annoying. Finally, a Game Info box briefly introduces the upcoming Star Soldier. It's a 3D update of the classic NES side-scroller. This version will feature massive mech bosses and explosions, promising classic shoot-'em-up gameplay. While excited about Bomberman Hero's explosive potential, the magazine is cautiously optimistic about Star Soldier, acknowledging its age but appreciating the potential of a 3D update. The release date for both games is currently unknown. Super Butterman Battle Phoenix 64, a 3D shooter featuring marble-like characters, is previewed. The game involves characters shooting marbles in surreal levels, including one where you shoot marbles into dinosaur mouths. The magazine is cautiously optimistic, noting the pretty visuals but questioning the simplicity. With a TBA release date, F-Zero X receives a glowing preview. Described as a fantastically fast 3D racing game from Nintendo, it boasts multiplayer and great graphics, slated for an autumn '98 release. The preview emphasizes its speed, with screenshots showcasing futuristic races. The We Think section is highly positive, claiming the game is so fast it might make your eyes bleed. Mortal Kombat 4 is hyped as a 3D true weapon combat game, aiming to surpass the N64's weaker MK Trilogy port. It boasts 12 fighters, hidden characters, weapon stealing, and many combos. Fast news reports a 4 MB N64 expansion pack for improved games. Duke Nukem 64 may debut on GreyStation first, but a better N64 version is planned, featuring new time zones and a third-person perspective. Star Wars Rogue Squadron is coming to N64, focusing on X-Wing battles. Conker's Quest is retitled 12 Tales, Conker 64. Yoshi's Story wins an award in Japan, adding to Nintendo's prior successes. Let's Smash, a tennis game, is described as the wackiest ever, and features the controversial Real Knickers system, including lewd underskirt views. Space Circus, an N64 platformer released in September 1998, puts players in control of Starshort, an alien circus owner collecting creatures, including humans, to outdo the rival Virtua Circus. The game features Starshort's flying ability via a mini-rocket, allowing exploration of 7 diverse worlds packed with over 300 eccentric characters trying to eliminate the player. Gameplay combines flight and fast-paced platforming, with laser battles and robot encounters. The game offers a variety of environments, including a space scrapyard inhabited by homicidal ghosts, and even a car on a planet. Despite its quirky premise and classic N64 style, the game's reception is unclear. Fast News highlights a few upcoming games. Vrally, a racing game, is praised for its graphics and success on other platforms. Grand Theft Auto is coming to Game Boy, raising questions about its mature content on Nintendo's handheld. Looney Tunes Space Race for N64 is previewed, described as a Mario Kart-esque space racer. Masters 98, now titled Wily Country Club True Golf Classics, is heading west with improved graphics. Lastly, Space Circus receives positive early impressions, with reviewers highlighting its animation, humor, and controls, promising more coverage as the game nears release. This magazine issue hypes itself with familiar promises: the biggest, best, and most comprehensive coverage. It teases a Banjo-Kazooie review, a highly anticipated game. They also highlight 6 promises, including reviews of every N64 game, clear visuals, and essential cheat codes. Featured games include an update on Conker's Quest, which they previously touted as a major platformer. Space Circus also gets a mention, with the magazine praising its cartoon style. Further content includes a total test of every N64 game, a first play of WWF Warzone, and game guides with cheats. The cover art is a mix, featuring Banjo and Mortal Kombat's Scorpion, a typical strategy to grab attention. This page is screaming about Mortal Kombat 4, reckons it's the best one ever, which is a bold claim even back then. It's promising to tell you everything, how it plays, what you can do, all the characters, all the moves, the works. Right next to it is Banjo-Kazooie, teasing info on levels and every bonus. Seems like they're really pushing that one. Down at the bottom there's a tips section with screenshots from GoldenEye 007, Quake and Forsaken. They're giving away cheats for GoldenEye, telling you to thrash your mate at Quake, classic stuff, and take Forsaken to the max, whatever that means, probably just good tips for those games. There's also a mention of a free World Cup 98 tips book, riding the wave of football fever from back then no doubt, and right at the bottom, something about Special Offers Club Mario. So, a good mix of fighting, platforming and sports, with a bit of first-person shooting action tips thrown in for good measure. Standard N64 magazine fare really. This article celebrates Mario, declaring him the greatest video game hero. It traces his history back to Donkey Kong, where he rescued Pauline, and his evil phase before teaming up with Luigi in Mario Bros. It discusses Mario's evolution, highlighting the Super NES Mario World games. The article then focuses on Mario's N64 debut with Super Mario 64, calling it the best platform adventure. A greatest hits list includes Mario Kart 64 and Super Mario World. Finally, it mentions rumors of a Super Mario 64 sequel with multiplayer, and a 64DD RPG, Super Mario RPG 2. Overall, it's a tribute to Mario's legacy, up to the N64 era. This page is a full-page advert for Snowboard Kids on the N64. Blimey, talk about a blast from the past. It's got that bored crazy tagline slapped across the top in big red letters, and features these weird cartoonish kids on snowboards. They look a bit manic, to be honest, like they've had too much sugar. There's a big 88% score from N64 magazine, which back in the day was pretty decent, wasn't it? So, seems like it reviewed well. The advert blurb calls it gravity junkies on snowboards sliding on the slippery stuff, which is a bit basic even for back then, but it gets the point across. Apparently you can do nose-grabbing stunts and break-neck speeds, and there are rocket launchers, because naturally, snowboarding games need rocket launchers. It even name-drops Mario Kart 64 on ice, trying to ride on its coattails. Cheeky. They're pushing the 4-player mayhem angle, and the Rumble Pack compatibility, standard N64 fare really. The price is £39.99, which was probably standard price for a new N64 game back then. At the bottom it boasts about the N64 being the fastest, most powerful games console on Earth, which was the marketing line we were all fed. And to be fair, it was pretty nippy for its time. Snowboard Kids itself, well, it was alright, wasn't it? A bit cartoony and aimed at younger players, but could be a laugh with mates in multiplayer if you were into that kind of thing. This advertisement for Aerogauge on the N64 emphasizes speed, using the words fast, faster, fastest prominently. The ad boasts unrealistic speeds exceeding 1,000 miles per hour and highlights beautifully rendered 64-bit graphics and vehicle maneuvering. It cheekily challenges potential players with the tagline, "Don't flatter yourself." The blurb promises a mind-tingling, joypad-melting experience with off-the-scale speeds and realistic graphics. Features include 5 vehicles, 4 courses, canyons, tunnels, oceans, mountains, and 4 play modes. The ad, a quintessential 90s N64 promotion, concludes with the website address www.ashai.co.uk, published by ASC2.